It is truly hard to believe, especially if you only remember the first season of the animated series Invincible, but at the very end of his epic, universe-spanning journey, Mark Grayson officially became the leader of the most brutal, bloodthirsty, merciless, and self-serving empire in the entire known galaxy. After incredibly long, exhausting, and bloody interplanetary conflicts, and after his agonizing final victory over the mad tyrant Thrag, which also followed the tragic death of his father, Omni-Man, Mark takes his place as the grand new emperor of the Viltrumites. Over the course of the following centuries of his rule, this young man achieved something that the entire universe, all inhabited planets, and the coalition of planets considered completely impossible, unrealistic, and frankly absurd. The most important, groundbreaking, and monumental achievement of Mark Grayson on the imperial throne is that he completely, fundamentally rewrote the genetic code, the culture, the traditions, and the very consciousness of his own people. To understand the context, you have to look at their history. For thousands of years, the Viltrumites knew nothing but war, total genocide, ruthless cullings within their own species, and the cold, unyielding subjugation of any weaker alien civilizations. They genuinely, with all their hearts, despised any living creature that was inferior to them in physical strength or combat endurance. Mark brought them a completely radical, fresh, and shocking philosophy. Instead of invading, conquering, and enslaving new planets, the Viltrumites, under his wise and unshakable guidance, transformed into the premier protectors and guardians of the cosmos. Mark forced his fearsome people to fly across the endless darkness of space, not with weapons of mass destruction, but with massive amounts of humanitarian aid. These mighty warriors began helping underdeveloped planets, constructing advanced schools, building modern hospitals, upgrading local infrastructure, sharing their technology, and defending innocent civilians from space pirates, galactic tyrants, and horrific monsters. Mark achieved a literal miracle. He took an intergalactic empire of evil that had held thousands of worlds in a grip of absolute terror and reshaped it into the ultimate unstoppable force for good in the universe. But this was only the very beginning of his legendary path. Even as the ruler of a massive cosmic faction, Mark Grayson never forgot his first home, Earth. Centuries down the line, humanity found itself facing devastating problems. Global ecological catastrophes, resource depletion, and severe overpopulation pushed mankind to the very brink of extinction. That was when Emperor Mark Grayson mobilized the limitless resources and advanced technologies of Viltrum. Under his direct, personal supervision, the Viltrumites helped humanity terraform the Earth, thoroughly cleaned the oceans, stabilized the failing climate, and eradicated diseases that were once considered completely incurable. Mark didn't conquer Earth the way his father originally wanted. Instead, he became its silent guardian, gifting humanity a true golden age of prosperity. Before Mark ascended to the throne, the coalition of planets and Viltrum were locked in a perpetual war of total annihilation. Mark managed to pull off a diplomatic miracle. He brokered a permanent peace treaty with the coalition, creating an unprecedented galactic alliance. Under his firm but fair control, the galaxy entered the longest era of peace in its entire history. Interplanetary wars and large-scale crime were reduced practically to zero. Any cosmic tyrant or warlord knew exactly what would happen. If you dared to start a war or oppress the innocent, Emperor Mark Grayson would personally appear in your orbit, and the conversation with him would be very short. Of course, Mark didn't rule the galaxy completely on his own. Sitting right beside him on the throne all these centuries was his wife, Adam Eve. Due to the unique nature of her molecular superpowers, Eve learned how to naturally regenerate her cells whenever she reached old age, effectively making her an Immortal Empress. Together, they raised a completely new, unique generation of Viltrumites. Mark brought up his children, Marcus and Tara, to be true heroes. Over time, his daughter Tara grew up to become his right hand and the official heir to the throne. She proved to the entire universe that Viltrumite blood could bring light, creation, and protection, rather than just death and destruction. Mark established a dynasty that was genuinely loved by every single corner of outer space. In the final pages of the comic book, we are shown Mark Grayson after a staggering 500 years of rule. He sits upon his majestic throne, staring out into the endless depths of space, remembering the most terrifying day of his childhood, the day his father, Omni-Man, beat him within an inch of his life, screaming, "What will you have after 500 years?" Now, Mark finally has his answer. After 500 years, he has a thriving, peaceful universe, a loving, immortal wife, wonderful children, and a loyal empire that absolutely worships him. Mark didn't just survive, he fixed every single mistake his father ever made, broke the cruel nature of the Viltrumites, and became the greatest ruler in history. He proved that he is, truly, invincible. What do you guys think about this conclusion to Mark's story? Let me know in the comments if you are hyped to see this ending in the show. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel.